Now is the Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia. He's a member of both the Senate Armed Services and the Senate Foreign Relations Committees. And in about 15 minutes, Senator Kaine and the rest of the United States Senate will meet via video conference with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Senator Kaine, good to see you this morning. Thank you for your time. Volodymyr Zelenskyy continues to ask for a no-fly zone over Ukraine. I spoke with a Ukrainian member of parliament half an hour ago who said NATO keeps saying no, and all I hear is not yet. That somehow Volodymyr Zelenskyy is going to convince NATO leaders, including people like you in the United States government, that I need more than we're getting right now. What are you expecting to hear, and what can that response look like?
Well, Ali, thanks. I'm glad to be on today. And he is going to get more than he's getting right now. So just as an example, the U.S. has provided about $3 billion of military aid to Ukraine since 2014, $1 billion just in the last year. And in Congress, we're likely to approve an additional $5 to $8 billion of military aid within the next couple of weeks. And this is aid that's very, very critical to the Ukrainian defense forces as they battle Soviet aircraft, Russian aircraft, Russian tanks, et cetera. So we're going to do a lot more. I'm expecting that when we talk to President Zelenskyy at 9:30, he's going to talk about the no-fly zone issue and how to do it. We've done no-fly zones before. We tend to do them in areas where there's not contested airspace. They protect humanitarian evacuations. This is very contested airspace. The Russian Air Force is one of the most powerful in the world, and there's probably no way to do or announce a no-fly zone without it involving direct combat between U.S. and Russian aircraft. And then that could escalate into a much, much broader war, which we are trying to avoid. We want to end this war, not escalate it. And that's why the combination of sanctions, canceling the pipeline, delivery of military assistance, putting our troops in NATO countries, pressing Putin as a war criminal before the ICC, that's what we've come together on with our allies thus far. But I know my colleagues and I are very anxious to meet with President Zelenskyy this morning.
Senator Kaine, you've been around for a while, but not long enough to have firsthand knowledge of this. But back in 1979, 1980, Russia went into Afghanistan to prop up a pro-Russian regime there. And the United States Congress funded the use of Stinger missiles, which, to great effect, the Mujahideen, the resistance there, would use to take down Russian helicopters. And Russians ultimately left. What's the difference between giving Ukrainians Stinger missiles and javelins for them to fight with U.S.-made weaponry against Russians versus a no-fly zone, in your mind?
Well, it's just really the direct involvement of U.S. troops. You're right. The aid that we provided to the Mujahideen enabled them to kick the Soviet Union out of Afghanistan. Very, very powerful. And much of what we're doing now with Ukraine is exactly the same. And in fact, I think you'll see, Ali, when we approve this next package, which I think, again, will be between $5 and $8 billion of military aid, the mixture of what the weapons will be, we're going to do the mixture that is most potent in helping the Ukrainian Defense Force. But the direct involvement of U.S. troops is when President Biden sort of sets his own red line. He said, we will not have U.S. troops battling Russia. Russia would sort of like to paint this as, the U.S. against Russia and shift the focus away from illegal Russian invasion of a sovereign nation. We need to keep the eyes of the world on Russia as the sole cause of this illegal war and do everything we can to undercut Vladimir Putin, even at home, as you're seeing runs on banks and ATMs, the ruble devaluing, the Russian stock market closed. We got to keep the focus on their misbehavior. Part of him would like it to escalate into something broader. I don't think that's in Ukraine's interest or in ours. But again, I'm looking forward to this visit with President Zelenskyy and hearing his perspective on this.
Senator, always good to talk to you. Thank you for being with us this morning. We're going to obviously be very interested in the conversation that you have just moments from now with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Senator Tim Kaine is the senator from Virginia. He's a member of the Armed Services and Foreign Relations Committees. Well,